In this video, I'm going to show you how to add supply chain graph visualizations to your React applications. For this, we're going to use the yFiles React supply chain component, which is available on NPM. It has its home on GitHub. So we start by going to github.com/yworks/react yFiles supply chain. There's an introduction, and it tells us how to actually get started. And the component itself is hosted on NPM as an NPM module, but it has a peer dependency that is required to be installed first, and that is the yFiles library. yFiles library you can evaluate from the yworks homepage and download it. So I already did this, so I'm going to switch to the directory where I unzipped the yFiles package, and there's this libdev folder which contains the NPM module packed as a TGC file. So I'm just going to copy the path of the TGC component, switch back to my application, and in the console do an npm install of that file. And this will install yFiles as a dependency in my application, so that I can then install the supply chain component, which is basically wrapping the yFiles application, the yFiles component for this specific use case of displaying supply chains. It's an npm install of the supply chain component. And once this is done, the next step is to go to our app TSX, which is currently still empty over here. And in order to get started, we need to follow the next step, and that is to register the license file with the application. So there's this register license function to be called, and this requires us to load the license file, which is as a JSON file, which is located in the lib folder when you do the evaluation. So I'm going to take the license JSON file, move it to my assets folder over here, and this allows me to import the license data from the assets folder and the license JSON, and then I can call the register license method, which is from the npm module, where I pass in the license data. So far, so good. So we registered the license file over here, just like in the application in the demo, and then we need to make sure to import this CSS style sheet, which also belongs to this component, to get the nice coloring for our items. So let's add the CSS over here. And with all this done, the next step would be to actually add the visualization in here. The component itself is a component. It's called supply chain, and it has one important property, and the only one that is required, and that's the data property. So we need to pass in the data that we want to display. Let's quickly define that data over here. It's a JSON object that satisfies the following contract. It's a supply chain data interface, and this means that we need to provide an items and the connections property in the data, items for the elements that will be displayed, and the connections for the connections between our items. And once we have done this, reloading the application, we get an empty visualization. And now let's, just to show you how this works, let's copy over some sample data from the example and paste that into our app. And now we can run the application and see here's our supply chain, interactive and automatically laid out. Now, next steps would be to add things like a tooltip, interactivity like context menus, and modify the styling. Learn how to do this by looking at the documentation and playing with it, the live playgrounds on the website. And that's it. Thank you.